Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Jackie, for those of you who don't know me. I am trying to start chronicling my reading journey. And I apparently have a friend who's going to help me. Today I thought it would be good to just do a little bit of Q&A, just to kind of get that out of the way, you know. A lot of times we have reading things that we like and that we don't like, favorite authors, and so on and so forth. So I reached out to a friend of mine, and I said, hey, if you are going to interview somebody about their favorite book-related topics, what would you ask? And so she sent me 20 questions. So let's get into it, okay? So the first question is, what is your favorite author? So my favorite author, it's a very hard one. I mean, everybody's got at least one author that they love. You know, even if they're not big readers, everybody can name somebody that they've read, whether from school or whatever. But I personally had a really hard time figuring out what my favorite was. And when it boiled down to it and I looked over this list, I ended up settling on somebody that really didn't fit any of the other categories. So my favorite author is Jacqueline Carey. She wrote this series called the Kushil's Dart series, or the Kushil's Dart Legacy. And there is a very, I don't know, like 12 books, I think, in the series. Obviously it starts with Kushil's Dart and then Kushil's Chosen and goes from there. If you haven't checked it out, I would definitely recommend it. It's probably been my favorite for, I don't know, a good 10, 12 years. I've as you can tell, this one's a little bit beat up because I have read this so many times. So that's the first one. Second question. Author that you just can't get behind, no matter how hard you try. So I do have one. And I have tried. I have tried so hard. I have read everything by her. Jane Austen. I love historical. I do. I don't know what it is about her writing style. I cannot stand it. I continue to try. I think I have 2 books left. 2. Out of all of her novels, I have read Sense and Sensibility. I have read Pride and Prejudice. I don't mind Pride and Prejudice, but it's just not my thing. So it is what it is. I'm going to continue to, encourage other people to read her, because I know a lot of people that do love Jane Austen. I do not. And for some reason, there's a couple other classic artists that I'm not a huge fan of, but we'll get into that at a later date. Favorite snack while reading. So I do generally try not to eat while reading, just because, fingerprints, I'm getting, but would you like in? Okay. Come on. Try that again. So, what was I saying? Favorite snack while reading. So my favorite snack while reading, I have 2 that I do end up reading, especially if I'm reading in bed and I'm tired and I get snacky, and you know how it happens. Anyways, the first one you can probably see over in the corner down there is cashews. Specifically, I love dill pickle cashews, but I know that 1, not every place has them, and 2, I don't tend to keep a lot of them in the house, simply because I don't stop eating them once I start. So there's that, and then there's also these. This is the honey mustard trail mix from Aldi's. I don't know what they put in these, but they're amazing. If you haven't tried them, you should. It's got like little honey mustard pretzel pieces, and then cashews and almonds. So they're pretty delicious. Really high in calories, though, just so you're aware. Favorite author growing up. So I was part of the late 80s, early 90s babies. So my favorite author growing up was obviously Harry Potter. I mean, you can kind of tell in the background I got some lovely witchy stuff kind of all over the place. There's a pumpkin up in the... There, yeah, we go. Top corner. And there's treasure chest, and over on my bookshelf over here I got like little witches hats and stuff. And so there's Harry Potter. I've actually got a soft cover set, a hardcover set. I've got the Mina Lima edition for my son. I've got Gesundheit. I bought copies for my girls. My middle, she only has the first 3, I think. She never really asked for the rest of them, so it is what it is. But aside from Harry Potter, I also was a pretty big fan of Lemony Snicket. I have the entire collection of the series of Unfortunate Events, and I actually have all of them in both the softcover and hardcovers. I bought those at a Scholastic Book Fair back in probably like 2002. Then I also was a very big fan of C.S. Lewis. I also own the entire set of, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, obviously. First one, The Magician's Nephew. I bought these as a book set. They've been through quite a bit. They got some staining on the edges. We got some pages that are starting to fall out at the back. They've been through some stuff. But I've held on to them this long. I love them. And then this one is one that doesn't get brought up a lot. My other favorite author growing up was Garth Nix. I own both series. I do read them occasionally because they are actually really good books. If you haven't read them, I do highly recommend at least read Sabriel, Liriel, and a Whoreson. Keys to the Kingdom, it's kind of more of a... it definitely screams YA. Like, this doesn't scream YA, this does. But it is still very good. So yeah, on to the next. Authors you would buy on name alone. So, my first author was a very strong contender for my favorite author, and that would be Anne Bishop. Again, I'm sure you can tell. My cover's falling apart. This book has been read and loved so many times. It is actually a 3-book omnibus that I got, I think I was freshman, maybe sophomore in high school. Probably should not have been reading this freshman, sophomore in high school, but it was so, so good. And so I have just, beaten the hell out of this book. I've probably read this book 30, 40 times. It's 1,200 pages of absolute delight. It is a dark fantasy with some romantasy situations in it, but very dark. So if you're not prepared for that, definitely go online, see if you can check the trigger warnings. This book was published way before, there's like an introduction, but this book was published way before trigger warnings were really a thing. So, just be aware of that. Second author on my list is kind of an up-and-coming, I haven't seen a lot of, talk in the streams from her, but it's Juliet Cross. I actually started reading her from the Wolf Gone Wild series. I love it. It's super hilarious. Obviously, it's another fantasy romantasy series. And most recently, she came out with Firebird, and she cannot come out with the second one fast enough. This one was fantastic. I have already pre-ordered the second. I obviously will let you guys know as soon as that comes in. This one is absolutely gorgeous. The dust cover is beautiful. It's got this nice dragon. You know, just beautiful, beautiful work. And the writing, I mean, so good. So good. Definitely recommend that also. I mean, I'm going to recommend most of what I've got here, so just be aware of that. And then the third author, and, you know, I'm just not going to talk about it, but would be Katee Robert. If you know, you know. I love this book. I love this book. It's not literary gold, but it hits you in special places if you get my drift. So, again, not for everybody. Check your trigger warnings. This is a fantasy, dark fantasy, romantasy. It's a very spicy book. Okay, very spicy book. Good book. She's got several other series, including the Neon God series. What are they actually called? The Dark Succession. I don't know. I'm trying to look on my shelf. And then she's got one. She just started writing the Villain series, and then there's also another book series it's a book series, but it's written by different authors. I guess I don't really know what that's called, but she's got half of the book, and then the other half is written by another author, and it's the Black Rose Auction series. Very good series. Yes, Sir Odin. I know. I'm not paying attention. You can't see him very well, but I have an Odin here, and he's wanting attention. All right. Next question. We're gonna take a drink quick. Dr. Pepper. Yum. Anyways, next question is a book that you bought based on the cover that you ended up, as my friend put it, being trash. It was not necessarily trash. It just wasn't for me. It didn't give me the vibes that I wanted. I read it. I read the sequel. I really tried to like it. It didn't do it. So, anyways, it's The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I looked at this and I thought, oh, that's so pretty. You know, it definitely gives that fairy tale vibe. I had just gotten done reading Hooked. And I was sitting there. Oh, what is her name? Now it's going to bother me. Anyways, I just got done reading Hooked, and I was like, yep, this looks very similar. You know, it says that it's got all these different, recommendations. I looked up online. I'm like, all right. I'm standing there, after I've already bought it and everything, going, am I going to like it? Turns out, no. No, I'm not. I did try. I don't. I think it ended up being like a 2.75 star for me, or maybe it was like a 3.25. I generally, the way that I rate things isn't necessarily on how I liked it. It could be on how it's written. It could be on, just the fact that they didn't have spelling errors, because a lot of books have spelling errors. It could be that, it was super not well written, but it had such a great plot or whatever, and I gave it great stars. This I rated pretty low because I didn't really enjoy it. But that happens. my top 3 books of all time. I'm going to tell you, I don't really have a top 3. So the first one is, I don't have one. The second one is, I don't have one. The third one is The Hobbit. I don't have a choice in this. After you have books that look like this, or like this, where they've got broken spines, they've got creased edges, creased pages because they've been read so many times. So, bought myself my first hardcover Hobbit not that long ago, and no part of me regrets it. It's got a hair on it, apparently. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, but it's some of the greatest work ever written, and I will fight you on that. We'll do it. Man's a genius. Anyways, so favorite genres, I'm fairly confident you can already tell my favorite genres are fantasy, dark romantasy. I'm not a huge fan of all romance, but if they've got some fantasy element to them, they're a little bit more dark academia, I can really get behind those, and you'll see that coming up in more of the books. And then classic fiction. I read a lot of classic fiction. Currently, I am reading Don Quixote. I just got done with another very well written book. Can't think of what it was. I know I just recently. I got done with David Copperfield a couple weeks ago. That was a trip. That was a long book. This year alone, I know I've read like Alice in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass. I read Phantom of the Opera. There's a lot of them, but yeah, classic fiction tends to be another one. Next question. I'm going to set my computer down a little bit farther. I've got a list going so I don't get off track. I tend to do that. Jabber. Feel free. Wow. Feel free to just fast forward through that. Okay. So big feelings. She originally said books that make you cry. Well, I can't think of a book that has really made me cry, like hardcore bawl. I've had a couple books that have made me, kind of tear up a little bit. But this particular book, and it's not a book, it's a series. This particular series, it gave me big feels. I had never thrown a book before. I threw books. I swore at books. I contemplated ripping them into little tiny shreds. Contemplated stabbing the authors, okay? I love these books. I also hate these books. And this is another one of those, check your trigger warnings. A lot of people don't like them. A lot of people love them. There's a very love-hate relationship with these books, okay? Zodiac Academy is I don't know the words to use for these books. Would I call them good? No. Good doesn't cover it. Would I call them evil? I might. A lot of time was spent. This series made my husband start reading again because I was yelling at the books. They're very good. They're not exceptionally well written, but there's a lot of like spelling errors and stuff like that in here, but there is so much emotion in these pages. They are, of course, a dark academia romantasy situation, following the lives of two young adult teenagers. I want to say they start off, they're 18. The last book, I think, ends at like, I don't know how old they are at the end of the series, because it fast forwards a few years. But anyways, it's their journey through magical college, okay? Hence the academy part of this. If Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valenti sees this, I hate you. Give me more. Give me more. I have read, I just got done reading Echo Fort, and it doesn't quite have the same vibe as Zodiac, but as you can tell behind me, our next series that we will be reading is The Ruthless Boys. And I'm so nervous because I haven't had any strong emotions since I finished these, I think, back in November. So we will see. I mean, that's, what, 8 months ago now? And I've read a lot of books since then. I think my book list right now is up to like 156 for this year, and that's not including, obviously, last year, finishing out the end of the year. I think I read another like 37 books or something like that at the end of the year. So there's that. All right, so next up is author's book. What author's book did you buy thinking you would love it and ended up hating it? So this is leading back to that whole Harry Potter thing. I grew up reading Aragorn. And, you know, Christopher Plony. I read all the books. I just recently purchased Murtagh. Haven't read it yet, getting to it. This book is another one of those that it has been through hell. It no longer has its dust cover. The spine is no longer straight. It does the wiggle. Creaks now when it opens. Lays flat, you know, the usual. So I went ahead and I bought To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I was not a fan of this book. It's not a bad book. It really isn't. It is an adult book, whereas Eragon, stay upright. Eragon was a, you know, young adult, or actually I think it might have even been listed as a youth. Well, maybe, I don't know. I bought it in middle school, so whatever, it was listed in middle school. But I bought this thinking, okay, I loved his other books, I'd love this. This book, I would say that it took me to probably about there. Okay, so this is what's left. I would say it took me to probably about there before I really started even remotely enjoying myself. At that point, I mean, it wasn't like it was bad. There was just so much not happening. He probably could have left that out. Like, it was so slow. And then all of a sudden, everything happened in that very last little bit. All of the excitement happened in, like, that. And once I got to the end, I was really mad because there's not a sequel to this, and there's so many questions left unanswered at the end of that book. So I don't know. I got really, really, really annoyed by it. DNFs. So what books have you DNF'd? Well, I actually have this fun thing called I am a completionist. Yeah. I can't seem to not finish a book. I'm aware my life, you know, limited. There's only so many hours that you have in your entire life, and why waste it, and all those other reasons that everybody gives. I can't do it. I've tried to put a book down. I've tried getting rid of the book, and then I end up getting the book again so I can finish the stupid book. So we're gonna go through some that I wish that I had the willpower to DNF. And we're going to start with the least annoying to me to the absolute, it was a complete waste of my time. So this one is probably going to get me a lot of hate. I did not like Dracula. Fantasy. That's right in there with that, literary fiction. It's not badly written. It's historically accurate. All that fun jazz going on in there. I don't like the way it was written. I don't like the way that it was written from multiple points of view, and that's funny because I love the Zodiac Academy, but the way in which this was done, it just made my brain itch. So this one, if I had the willpower, would have been a DNF. It's going to sit on my shelf forever. I actually have on my Amazon list a very pretty copy that I will eventually buy, simply because I've read it twice. I read it once in high school, hated it then. I bought it as an adult, thinking maybe I could get, nope, can't do it. So it's there. The next one, I had heard really good things about it. I don't like it. I have no reason to don't like it. I just don't like it. It's got good magic. It's a decent book. I actually think that I rated this fairly high. It's not badly written. It just wasn't for me. It didn't hit the spot. And even now, I could not tell you what this book was entirely about. I don't know. I tried. I read it. I didn't get it. This last one was one of those I bought in a bargain bin because it was pretty. The back cover kind of pulled me into it. It's Tantalize by Cynthia. I don't know what the middle name is. Smith, or secondary name, whatever. And I'm not going to try to butcher it because I don't want to offend anybody. But this book pushed all of the wrong buttons. There was so many things in this book. There was spelling, there was grammar, there was, it's things like historical fantasy, like you believe vampires are this way and you believe that werewolves are this way because of all of the other things that we've watched or read or seen. This book, I don't think I've ever rated a book as low as this book. I finished it. I hated it. I will never read it again. I'm not getting rid of it simply because I don't want somebody else to read it. Okay, bad book. All right. Favorite books turned movie. I grabbed 2 of my favorites. There are other books that have turned movie that weren't bad. I had issues with each of them in their own individual way. There was Harry Potter. Obviously, Peeves got totally shafted there. There was Lord of the Rings. Where is Tom? I don't know where Tom is. That makes me mad. There was The Hobbit. There was so much more going on in The Hobbit, and they managed to spread it out over 3 movies and not stick with the script. And it just, again, it made my brain itch. And they're good movies. They are. Are they loosely based off of the books? Yes. Yes, they are. But if you're going to use the books, make them correct. And that's why, I didn't choose Anne Rice. I love Anne Rice. I have everything ever written by Anne Rice, including some things that were written under a different pen name, if you know what I'm talking about. These books, I think, stuck to the movie, or these movies stuck to the books pretty well. And so I chose 50 Shades of Grey. I do own the movies. I own all of the books. I own them all from Christian's point of view. And I do actually own another book by E.L. James as well. I note that they're not a literary masterpiece. They are one of those guilty pleasure potato chip books. They're fantastic that way. But the main reason why I actually liked these books is simply because there is that little bit of, they give you permission, and they drew attention to a part of life that people just don't talk about, you know. And so anyways, there's those. And then the other book series turn movie is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I own all of these books also. The movies were so well done. I've seen all the movies. They were fantastic. If you haven't read them, you should. They are definitely not a fantasy book. They are definitely not a romantasy book. They are very dark. Just be aware of that. But they are very good. I actually watched the movies first, and that's what prompted me to buy the books. And I liked the books. So, series that you are obsessed with that is unfinished. So, there's a lot of them. I'm going to name 2. But just be aware that there's also probably, I don't know, 30 or so other series that I have read in the past 6 months, if not more, that are unfinished. And it's simply because they are newer series, and I read a lot. So the first one is Bound to the Shadow Prince by Ruby Dixon. She's most well known for Ice Planet Barbarians, and Bull Moon Rising is the other one she wrote. This is a fantastic read. It gives off, you know, some really dirty things, very spicy things, but they're fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. It shows they are Wattpad books, so you already know what you're going into with these, but they're very, very good plot. So, and then the other one, and this one is a current angry spot for me because I have read all 3 of the books that are out, and I want the other one. Spark of the Everflame. So good. So good. If you haven't read them, you definitely should. They are, you know, following this amazing, you know, female main character, and she is super kick-ass, and, you know, there's a good magic system in place, and there's politics, and the whole 9 yards. There's a little bit of spice. Not necessarily overpowering on the spice, but there is some in there, so be aware of that. But they are absolutely fantastic. Penn Cole did a fantastic job with them. I do have the current special editions that she has out, so they do have, you know, these super pretty inside pages, gorgeous white. I have to say the cream, technically, the front cover. I don't know if you can see the detailing in that, but maybe you kind of can. There you go. I hold them up just right. But yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. And they're super, super good. And then, let's see. Oh, next one. Favorite special edition and why? This one is a book that I've read many, many times, and I was so excited when I finally got my first special edition. It is an omnibus. I'm not mad about it. It is Lord of the Rings. She's so pretty. She comes with her own maps, which I'm not putting the maps out. That's too much. It's too much. But it's got all these little details through the whole thing. It's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. It's got little bits and pieces. There's somewhere in here. I don't know where it went. I haven't actually read this edition yet, and I don't think I will. Simply because, I mean, you can still hear it. She's still making cracking noises. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. There is little drawings and tidbits in here. Ooh. Careful, careful, Jackie. There are little things like the contour map of Misty Mountain that Gerald Tolkien wrote or drew. I love this edition. I was so excited. Amazon Prime had it for Prime Days. It was originally, I want to say it was $100, and I got it for $30, and it's just so gorgeous. Just so gorgeous. I'm so mad though. It did have a little dent up in the corner, but I don't care. It's mine. So there's that. I'm gonna put the maps back away. Back in the book. The original pile. All right. Let's see. Standalone turn series and why. This one was really hard. I don't have a lot of standalones. We did talk about the one by Christopher Bellini, but because of the fact that I wasn't really a fan of it, obviously I don't want that one. So it's which standalone would you want turned into a series, and why would you want that to happen? So I chose The Count of Monte Cristo. And the reason that I chose it is because I loved this book, but she's thick. She's thick. I think Alexandre Dumas could definitely have done several novels. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. Okay, this isn't even the widest edition that I've seen. This just happens to be the one that I have, which is the Penguin Classics edition. I love it, but she's thick. Okay, so if this could have been turned into a series, that would have been great. Obviously that can't, because it is what it is, but this should have been 3 separate books at least. And then let's see, let's do one genre. A one genre author. So an author that only does one genre. What genre would you like to see them do? And I have 2. Both of these are young adult books that I wish they were not. The authors, I should say they're young adult authors that I wish were not young adult authors. The first one I'm going to do is super, super well known, and that is The Hunger Games. I actually think the series is very, very good. I do not own the new one. Do not tell me about it. I don't want to hear it. I will get it when I get it. But it's on my TBR. It's just, books are expensive. So anyways, I own all these and the original Hunger Games, and they're very well written. I enjoyed reading them, but I do think that Suzanne Collins, it would be fun to see her do sci-fi. I think she would do really well at sci-fi. So there's the first one. I don't know, the dystopian just gives me sci-fi vibes, So I think she would do really well with it. The other one is a newer author. To me, she's a newer author. I believe she's got 5 or 6 books out. I have 5. All the ones that I have are the super fancy special editions, and that is Tricia Levenseller. This is technically a YA. It's a slow burn series. It's very potato chippy, very slow burn, very good for a slow burn. I really think that she would do well with a dark romantasy. These books are a little bit on the darker side, so there's that. And they definitely could have stepped it up in the spice level and become an adult book. Obviously, they would have needed to be, they wouldn't have needed to be, but I would have liked to see them a little bit thicker. I actually would have preferred seeing, a book yay thick. So, you can see there's I guess it's kind of hard to see on camera, but there's a chunk difference, you know. Anyways, so yeah, Tricia Levenseller, write some adult, be great. Next, I picked 3 for this next question. Who do you think is an underrated author, a new up-and-coming author, somebody that is either going to be super, super popular or is going to, you know, be a historical author someday in the future? I don't necessarily think that these are going to be, you know, like historical works of literacy or anything like that, but they are up-and-coming-ish authors. And I really enjoyed them, and I would love to see more by these authors. So the first one is Adrienne May. She wrote this Exquisite Ruin. I love it. It was such a good book. I cannot wait for the next one. If you haven't read this one, it's kind of a Minotaur maze situation. You get the labyrinth and everything. It's a very fun read. There's a little bit of snark going on there, a little bit back and forth, and I really enjoyed the banter. The second one is Whitney Dean. She wrote this Rise of the Cinder Fae. I was kind of, I bought this because it was very like fall, and it's really pretty, and it's got this really soft outside, and I liked it. You know, it's so pretty. This is the front cover, and you know, it's got a little bit dirty going on there, but it ended up being so much better of a read than I thought it was gonna be, and I would love to see more by her. So this one, definitely a good author, good one to follow. Hopefully she releases a lot more. I think this is, I could be wrong, I think it might be self-published. Not, just ignore me on here doing things. Yeah, it's produced by Undying Raven Press. So possible that's self-published. I don't really know. It does have a nice little preface. It's dark fantasy, guys. Dark fantasy. It does have triggers. I think most of what I've shown you tonight has triggers, just so you're aware. And then the third one, and she's becoming much more well-known, and I very much enjoy this because she's a great author. At least from the one book that I've read of her. I haven't read the other book. It is on my TBR. I think we pushed it back to September now, but it would be Jasmine Mass. I have, you know, I have Blood of Hercules. I'm waiting for Bonds of Hercules to come out before I read this. And I just finished Psycho Shifters, and I'm very, very mad that I finished Psycho Shifters because I don't believe the next one comes out till like February or March or something like that. And it cannot come fast enough. I also have to say that both of these are just absolutely gorgeous. They're, you know, absolutely incredible. They're got these nice little, where'd it go? Somewhere in here there's a nice little doodle. Anyways, and then these are super pretty. So, but if you have not read this, I recommend it. If you have read this, don't tell me about it. I've heard enough to know that I am going to enjoy it. So, but I'm waiting for the next one to come out. So, well, I know the next one's technically out. I'm waiting for the next special edition to come out, because if I'm gonna buy it, I'd rather just buy it once. So, there's that. Alright, let's grab another drink quick, and then we'll come up to our next question. The series you just keep coming back to. Well, I have, no, I'm not playing with you right now. I'm making a video. You have a burr in your eyeball. You have a burr in your eye. You're being rude. Being rude. Okay. So I have this book. this book is called, let's see that, Myth Adventures by Robert Asprin. This is one of my guilty pleasure books. It is funny, it is witty, it's a little bit on the childish side, not really, but kind of. It's a fantasy series. I very much enjoyed it. I'm actually currently reading the last book that I own, which is Mythnummers and Imperfections. It follows the great and powerful Skeeve. He's a magician. And his demon mentor turned apprentice, but also still his mentor. I don't know. It's hilarious. Good stuff. They go gallivanting off through the universe, and it's great. So I recommend reading those if you can. They're not particularly long books. I think the longest of them is like 190 pages, so they're not crazy long. Myth Adventures, that particular book, is another omnibus. I think that one has the first 4, maybe 5 in it. I really enjoyed reading them when I first started reading them, and I've been reading them probably pretty consistently, maybe once a year for the last 10, 12 years. Aside from, I did take a like a 2-year hiatus because I couldn't afford my book habit. So I stopped reading for like 2 years and found other hobbies, and now I'm back, and my husband hates it. Anyways, he doesn't hate it. He likes it, but yeah, it's a lot of reading. Anyways, so the last one is my favorite book that is either going to get me a lot of grief or that people would not expect coming from me. And it would be this one. It's Under Lock and Key. It is a super cozy, supernatural fantasy type one. It's probably the only one that I have that is appropriate for showing on YouTube. Because I don't think people get surprised by what I read anymore. I read just about everything. So anyways, this one was a cutesy book, and that's just not usually my style. So this is the one that I'm going with. Under Lock and Key by Lana Ferguson. It is super adorable. It gives, those warm and fuzzy vibes. And it does have the whole monsters thing in it, so if that's not your thing, sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But this one's really good to me. I really enjoyed it. So that's the end of the Q&A. I was trying to think if there's anything else that you guys would want to know. If you can think of anything, go ahead. Put it down in the comments below, and I will try to respond. Let's face it, I'm going to respond. I don't have a whole huge following yet. I'd like to. It'd be great. I will say that I was kind of surprised. One of the questions that I was kind of thinking she was going to ask is, why are you doing this channel, so on and so forth. But it's really just, I would like to connect with you guys. I would like to share with you guys. I read so much, and I've read so many books that just weren't for me, and I'd like for you guys to not have to do that, And also, on the flip side, to be able to be encouraging people to read books that they might not think are good books, There's so many books out there on Book Talk, and that are also on YouTube, and that are also, there's just all these recommendations. And I mean, you see things like this in the store, and you're like, oh, that's so pretty, but is it going to be a good book? Well, I will read it so you don't have to, or so you can, either way. So anyways, it is getting past my bedtime, guys, so hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and see you in the next one. Do, 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 do.